Did you see the three pictures at the very end of the video? Well, I added those on. My mom and I came home one day, and those are actually her front steps. And between the bottom piece of concrete and the first step was that little yellow marigold, just happy as can be, brimming with life. And I thought, that thing must have had so much faith, not knowing where it was going, trapped under the earth, sees a little bit of light and says, I'm going for it. So remember the little flower, because I want to get back to that at the end. When Carrie declared that our theme today was faith and that I was to do the address, I thought, oh no, what do I have to share? I never felt like I was somebody of great faith. As a kid, I spent all my high school years going to Catholic school when we had to memorize prayers and go every Sunday. There was a lot of Sunday everything. And of course, in school, all kinds of things about faith and God and religion were driven into us. But I'm 54 years old now, and I don't think anything from back then really helped me to have faith. In fact, I've been on a spiritual journey, probably like yourself, for quite some time. And the road to faith, I think, is something really unique and individual to us all. Faith, you can think of faith as a faith in God, a faith in religion, a faith in yourself, a faith that the sun will come up again. And we believe it will because it was up yesterday. So why not tomorrow or today? But thinking of the sun, and a lot of religions refer to God as the source, as the light. And while there can be many different lights, or there's one light, many different lamps, but it all represents that true divine source. But I think of my little flower, and there he was as a seedling under the earth in complete darkness, and it was driven to grow. And then I think miles beyond, under the ocean surface, there's life down there. There's life in complete darkness. So, if God is light, I think light might have a different meaning. Light might be energy. Light might be, or energy, something that just encompasses everything, everywhere. I've done some really interesting experiments in something called remote viewing, which is an ESP technique. And I've actually found that I can tell what's on somebody's table 3,000 miles away from me in a split second. I've held a magazine in my hands and had the intention of what pictures are in the magazine. And I tell you, in 30 seconds, so many images come to my mind and I write them down. And then you go through the magazine and you see a picture that was just in your mind on one page, another picture on another page. This is some divine source. There's some divine energy. There's something big going on here. So whether you want to call it God, the universe, light, there's a zillion names for whatever that is. But that power is within all of us, and we're connected to it. And it's magical, miraculous. I think being a human being, we buy into this story that this life is all there is. And why? Well, because I think there's a game to life. I think we're here to learn and explore and experience and love and share and so many great things, but we forget who we really are. And that's part of that divine light. If you think back to planet Earth, now I don't know how the Big Bang happened or anything like that, but eventually it became planet Earth as we know it. But planet Earth started out just rock and maybe some trees and some plants and some water. And of course, that was a long time ago, but somehow, some way, here we are now. Everything you can see around you somehow came from those basic elements. Do you find that mind blowing? Because I do. I mean, absolutely everything. So there's this intelligence that keeps on going and growing. And again, we don't see it. We don't really know how it works, but it does work. If you think of my little flower or an acorn growing into a big oak, or our parents meeting, and you know what happens, that little spark has turned into us. I mean, that's miraculous. I think about it, even the miracle of living, every remedy for just about everything can be found here on this planet. There's food for us, there's nourishment, there's water. And then us, these self-contained energy vehicles that we are, that are, there's so much potential in us. We don't need to plug in like we do our mobile phones or our computers. Just add a little water, add a little food, maybe a little sunshine, and voila. Although I don't feel like I've lived a life of faith in God, and it's not easy for me to pray, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, I do feel that we can trust and have faith in something that is relatively unknown. Here, as you know, if you've been here before, we celebrate life and we also celebrate the afterlife. Phil will be coming on and doing a demonstration and connecting some loved ones. And all of our loved ones are here, whether we can see them or not. And to me, that's miraculous. And I get this, the biggest gift that's come out of COVID-19 is that I get to be with you guys on a Sunday or Monday morning for our friends down under. I get to spend so much time with Scott, Darren, Phil, Carrie, and I witness miracles. I witness reunions. I witness words coming from a loved one who's no longer walking this planet. And it's not a pipe dream. It's not a wish. It's not cold readings or whatever the naysayers say. It's very, very real. Carrie and Phil have a mediumship course on Thursdays, and I'm not always right in my communication. It's about learning, it's about practicing. But I got to see just this past Thursday how I connected with someone's mom and delivered a communication that changed this woman's life. It's real. And I can't see it. I can't show it to you, but it is real. So whether you call it God, the divine source, whatever that is, there is something. And I tell you what, we are all connected to it, and we are all a part of that. I often say we can't see the wireless internet that surrounds us or radio waves, but that's very real. And I think as life goes on, there'll be things that are proven that are so much out of our grasp that we could even imagine right now. 100 years ago, people could not imagine we're doing what we're doing now, but we are. So why have faith? I did a little research, and faith, and whatever it is you want to call it, can do some very mighty things. It can extend your life. It can make you happier. People of faith are more creative. They have better relationships. They have more success and a whole heck of a lot more stress. Now, has anybody ever told you that if you're unhappy, you put a smile on your face for 30 seconds and then you'll feel better? Well, with faith, whether you're like me and you want to believe and you think there is something, but you really don't know how to open that relationship, act as if you already have it. You can imagine the light. You can imagine, it really doesn't matter how you imagine it, but you can have that conversation started with that divine that's connected within each one of us. Now, prayer is a funny thing because growing up, you think of prayer and you think you pray for something. So whether I was at a casino with my mom in Las Vegas, oh, I was praying for the right slot machine. Or when I was by my dad's bedside, those weeks before he passed, I was praying for a miracle. We have to trust that there's a bigger plan in place. And we may not see it right this second, but a couple years down the road, we may see the good that's come out of some of our most trying times. So to have faith in that. But there is a way of praying that I think is a real nifty way, and that's a prayer of gratitude. And we're going into Thanksgiving time here in the United States. I know Canada has already had their Thanksgiving, or at least I think they have. But if we can pray a prayer of gratitude and thank God, the universe, whatever that is, for what we've already have, that energy, that light that runs within us all, I think that's really strengthened. And this may sound funny, but if you can imagine a little old lady, maybe a grandmother who loves to give her grandchildren gifts, and she gives and she gives and she gives, but nobody ever says thank you. How much do you want to keep on giving? Now, you might just come Christmas or a birthday, but all those special little things, maybe not so much. So, healing works the same way. Give gratitude for people, see them healthy, see them well, see yourself healthy and well. I don't know what the future holds. We're living in a very tough time in the world, and it's very easy to think about what we don't have. And it takes something to think about what we do have. I watched a video this morning, and although we can't control what's happening outside of us, we certainly can control what's happening inside of us. So we take that on, having a little faith and thinking about what it is we do have. I made little notes so I wouldn't forget. I know, and I've read, and I love this quote: God will work with you, but not for you. Here we are as humans having this life, and there's so much to experience and there's much to do. And like my little flower, it's given a dream and it has to do the work to grow. We all have to look within and identify what it is we want to do and take the steps in that direction. And I don't care what it is, when you come from an honest heart with good intent, maybe even a little service in mind, and you start taking those steps forward, it's like this mighty wind just fills your sails and helps you keep going. So God will work with you, but not for you. You take a step in the right direction, and however you know that divine source to be will be right there with you. I want to leave you with a thought about that little flower. I tell you, its life was short, but how much happiness it brought my mom and I was tremendous. And I think of any flower whose life is short and is there to smell good and to look good and to make people happy, often in their darkest times. Well, bloom where you are planted. That's the message here. That little flower worked mighty hard so that it could breathe a couple of weeks of happiness for my mom and I. It gave its all through darkness, through concrete, to bloom for mom and I. But the joy that we felt was unbelievable. And the love that we gave that thing, every moment of his life was just tremendous. So life right now may be hard. And you know what I was thinking is our life may not be for us. What if our life truly is to make a difference for another? Just like my little flower. It gave its all so that mom and I could have 2 weeks of smiles. But it didn't just give 2 weeks of smiles. It let me tell you its story, and it's going to live on through Facebook, through YouTube, through Zoom, wherever it may land. You and I both know that if we have some very tough times, If we can get out of our own head and we can make a difference for another person, how good do we feel? So I want to just leave you with that thought of being in service. And no matter how tough things may be, and they may not be ideal situations, but bloom where you are planted. You are one unique flower. You've got a sense of humor like nobody else. I know that about you. You're wise, you're loving, you're caring. You can make a difference. And I bet you my little flower knew how good it made mom and I feel. Thank you.